Hello and welcome back to the Done Deal YouTube channel. Today we're joined with Tung. He's from Australia.
G'day.
Carsguide. And Tung, because you're in Australia and you guys are 11 or 12 hours ahead of us, you've actually got this ahead of anyone else in Ireland.
Yes.
So talk me through it. What is it?
This is the new 2022 BMW i4. It's one of 3 all-electric models that they're bringing out this year, and I believe you've driven a couple of the other ones as well.
I have indeed, but I haven't even seen this until about 2 minutes ago.
Yep. So, first impressions, what do you think?
It looks a lot like a 4 Series, and I suppose that's crucial because it is built very much on the same platform as the 4 Series and 3 Series.
Yep.
I really like it. I expected it to be black for some reason. I think a lot of the press photos have been black. But the grille looks really well against it. I know it's always a talking point. Some juicy, beefy tyres.
Yep.
I really like the rear end, the diffuser, although it does look like it's missing some exhaust. Yeah. But you've actually had this for a little bit of time, so how have you found driving it?
I'm impressed. Like, in a word, I'm very impressed. It's a very capable, very comfortable, very sporty car, much in the same vein as BMW's old sporty sedans, like the old 3 Series and things like that. Does it make a difference that it's an electric powertrain? I don't think so.
Okay, I just want to interrupt quickly. Sedan means saloon. I'll be the translator here. Anyway, will we have a quick look at it though?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so to begin with, let's talk about the powertrain, because that's obviously the most important part of any electric car. Yep. What are we looking at?
This car is the eDrive 40 variant, so it's a single electric motor that drives the rear wheels. Power outputs, it's 250 kilowatts, which translates to
335 brake horsepower. Don't worry, I'm here all day, guys.
In terms of torque, it's 430 Newton meters, which enables a 0 to 100 km/h sprint in 5.7 seconds, which is pretty quick, wouldn't you say?
No, it's really, really quick. And actually, to put that in perspective, I think an old E46 M3 was about 340 brake.
Yep.
So in terms of power, it's very similar. And this isn't, as we said, it's only the 40 variant. There is a faster variant, the 50, which is, I think, 500 odd horsepower, 4-wheel drive.
Yep.
Mental. But in terms of the battery size, it's what, an 80 kilowatt hour battery?
I think it's about 84 kilowatt hours.
Okay.
On paper, using WLTP standards, BMW will say this car has a driving range of 590 kilometers. But being real world usage, it's probably closer to 400 kilometers. And as you know, in cold weather, electric vehicles aren't the most efficient, which kind of knocks it down a little bit.
Yeah, it does, because I've seen it can be quite efficient. I've seen like 17 kilowatts per 100 kilometers or whatever it is. But yeah, no, it's really nice. So in terms of charging, it can do very fast charging, can't it? We're talking...
It's 210 kilowatt DC fast charging, which I think on paper it enables 10 to about 80% in half an hour, which is pretty quick. But
Ireland,
yes,
you're going to struggle to do that. Every now and then you might find an Ionity charger, but for the most part you're going to be charging this up at home. It's going to be really affordable if you're using the night rate. You can obviously set it, I presume, to time it, and so that's kind of the way it is. But it does model, it kind of rivals the Tesla Model 3 a little bit, which that's a big talking point because obviously they've got the fast chargers. This doesn't really have that network. How have you found it compared to a Model 3?
It's, you know what, like the driving range is usable. My in-laws, they live about an hour outside of Dublin, up the freeway, up north. So
the motorway.
Motorway, apologies.
I'm guessing.
But the range will get me just about there to the in-laws' house. I'll have to charge it up at home before driving back down to Dublin. But, Dave, you've lived in Ireland your entire life, I'm presuming. Is sort of like that 400 kilometer range enough?
I always think you want the WLTP standard to be over 400, so then you're at least getting mid 300s. That's enough. Let's be honest, a lot of 330 brake horsepower petrol cars won't do more than 400 kilometers to a tank. So the reality is, it is very much usable, I think anyway, but that's all dependent on you, your driving, what type of roads you use. But the vast majority of 3 Series and 4 Series owners tend to do kind of a lot of city driving and maybe the odd sales rep, in which case probably better sticking to a diesel variant. But let's have a look at some of the boot space, and then I really want to go into the inside because it's really nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
So from the rear, this is one of my favorite angles, and particularly because the diffuser, it reminds me so much of an M4, minus it's got the exhaust delete.
I am not a big fan of the bumper. The exhaust cutouts down here.
Yeah, it's fully there.
Yeah, it makes sense in a petrol or a diesel car. In an electric car, I think they should have done something a little bit different with the diffuser.
And I'm sure they could have done something more aerodynamically intelligent for me too. But that is the M Sport bumper, which in Ireland for the M Sport kit, you're going to pay about €1,800 more. Personally, I think it's well worth doing. It just makes it look a little bit more aggressive. Now, let's talk about the boot. Is it electric?
It is. Power tailgate. It's standard on the Australian cars. Not sure about Ireland.
I think, I'm actually not, I suspect that could be an M Sport upgrade, but I don't know, I'm not going to lie.
Yep.
Now, the boot space. What are we at here? 470?
70 litres. I really like the liftback tailgate design. Much more practical than a traditional sedan saloon.
Saloon.
A saloon boot. It's almost like this hybrid between a saloon and a hatchback.
Yeah.
So it makes things, loading big things in like prams, which I've done, much easier.
Yeah, and I can see it's even got 12 volt socket and everything. It's pretty practical. Under here, there is a gigantic amp taking up essentially where the spare wheel would go.
Yes.
That's the beauty of having the Harman Kardon system, isn't it?
Yep. And it's a great sound system too.
Is it?
So if you like bass, this would be the car to get.
Well, you've got no engine noise, so. Anyway, we take a look at the inside and then maybe go for a drive.
Let's do it. Dave, how are you finding the rear seat space?
I'm going to be very honest, it is a little bit tight in here. That said, baby seat does fit in quite well.
It does.
USB-C charging points.
Yep.
It's not all bad, but I do think you don't buy a 4 Series for the headspace back here.
You don't. Look, the rear aperture is a little bit small, so if you do have a baby and you are using a baby seat like I did, it can get a bit tricky to maneuver the little guy in and out. But all in all, I mean, it's not terrible.
It's absolutely fine. And I mean, as I said, I'm not exactly very tall. But as long as now 6 feet people go, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, but let's check out the front seat.
Yeah, that's much better. That's where I want to see actually.
Yep.
Okay, so to drive, well, first of all, let's talk about the interior. It is very much like the iX, which I really recently drove.
Yep.
Which is a good thing.
The dual screens, so you've got an all digital instrument cluster and you've got this huge multimedia touchscreen in the middle as well. Like, it really feels futuristic and really befitting of an electric car, doesn't it?
It does, and it's almost wrapped around me as the driver here. Like, in the cockpit, I feel like I'm in a cockpit, which I think BMW's always been great at, is you're sitting here and it's the ultimate driving machine or whatever, but you do get the sense that it's built for a driver as opposed to not just the passengers.
And I will mention the software on the touchscreen is really smooth, really snappy, really responsive. So there's none of that weird like lagginess that you'll get. It really feels cutting edge.
Question though, so in the iX, I found it a little bit confusing and maybe a little bit overwhelming, particularly let's say for an older driver. Is it like that as well?
It is a little bit like that, but I don't mind it so much. You know, you've got apps and tiles and things like that. It's got voice controls as well, which makes things a little bit easier. And there's always the rotary control knob down the bottom if you get lost in the menus. I personally really liked it.
Yeah, and what about, I do actually like this. I was just looking for my climate control down here and it's nowhere to be seen, it's here. But at least it's distinguishable. In some of the cars where it's built into the infotainment system, you're looking for it. There's a shortcut here at the bottom.
Totally. It's the worst when you've got to hit like 3 different things just to turn the temperature down because it's too hot.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's never too hot in Ireland. But anyway, the two of us here in beanies.
Yes.
But to drive, that's one thing. So in here, how have you found it? I've driven it now for all of 5 minutes.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie, I feel very much like I'm in a 3 Series or a 4 Series, which is a really good thing, I think.
I think that's very much the case here. You know, it for the most part, it drives, you know, albeit without the engine noise and the exhaust noise, like a 3 Series or a 4 Series Grand Coupe, which I like. I think, you know, it's a very unintimidating drive. If you're looking to make that step into an all-electric car, this could be the one for you because it more or less functions and feels like a 3 Series. Yeah,
and so this is something we spoke about off camera. I like electric cars that are just normal cars with an electric motor. You're a little bit more into the funky stuff.
I am. I much prefer something that looks a bit more wild and out there and different. You know, having said that though, there is a market for a car like this.
Absolutely. This is, if I was looking to go electric, I'd be more inclined to get something like this or the iX3, where it's not shouting it from the heavens, I'm electric, it's just subtle. Now, in terms of actually driving, so around town and the kind of short drive I've done here, the slow pace, I've noticed the turning circle is not massive.
Nope.
But it is very tranquil to drive.
It is, and that's what you get with an all-electric powertrain, isn't it? You've got various driving modes in this car. There's Sport, Comfort, and Eco Pro.
Can I push this Sport button?
Absolutely. And in Sport mode, you know, the steering firms up, the throttle response, there we go.
You get a nice little whine, but yeah, it is a bloody quick car, isn't it?
Yep.
Sorry, I won't scare you too much, but...
So, you know, that rear-wheel drive platform it just makes it an engaging drive.
It really does. And do you know what else? A really, really nice feature on this, and it was the same on the iX, the regenerative braking. It's so good, isn't it?
Yes, yes. So you can essentially operate this car with one pedal in that mode, which makes it a little bit more efficient, especially when you're driving around town, which is where sort of Comfort and Eco Pro sort of play into it as well. And that'll sort of soften up the suspension, make things a little bit easier to drive, and get you a few more miles or kilometers out of the battery too.
The driving aids, let's say.
Oh, like the safety and all that?
Yeah, even exactly, like the lane assist. But I presume, but actually I don't know, but...
full suite, you've got everything. Autonomous emergency braking, lane departure warning, blind spot monitoring,
everything.
Adaptive cruise control, rear cross traffic alert, there's a surround view camera in this one as well, traffic sign recognition, so I think that's everything.
It's got the full shebang.
Yeah.
And you'd expect that in an electric car in particular, because I think part of owning an electric car is look at the toys that it comes with. The gimmicks are exactly what you want. You want this big screen and you want these things. And the chances are if you're buying an electric car, you're interested in technology as well.
Yep. You want to buy an electric car that has all the fruit, that has all the technology. And this car absolutely has that.
Amazing. All right, so Tung, at this point in a done deal review, we talk about some of our favourite and least favourites. I usually just begin with the latter, and if I was to pick one thing that I'm not a massive fan of, it's the price. And it's not that the price is particularly expensive, it's about 64,000 euros. However, in Ireland, that means you're not entitled to the SEAI grant of 5,000 euros. So that is just a little bit frustrating. If I was owning it or buying it, that would be one thing that would cut away at my heart. What about you? Is there anything that you would change?
I think I want the car to look a bit more out there. I would like this car to look a bit more different from the 4 Series Grand Coupe. Otherwise, I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad looking car. I just wish there was more distinction between this car and its petrol counterpart.
Okay, very good, very good. Now, favourite things. So for me, definitely one of the best things is the reversing camera, the 360 camera setup. I think the quality on the screen is really good. Often it can be pixelated, but BMW are nailing that. And I just think it's very versatile. It's a really, really cool option to have.
Right, okay. I think my favourite thing about this car is actually its versatility. There is quite a lot of difference between the car in sport mode and comfort mode. So it can be both things. It can be a really engaging dynamic drive if you want it to be, and then as soon as you put it in a comfort mode with an all-electric powertrain like this, it's quiet, it's silent, it's comfortable. What more could you ask for? You're
dead right. It does tick a lot of boxes, and I can't even imagine what the all-wheel drive faster version is going to be like to drive. So there you have it. That is Done Deal's really quick look at the i4. A big thank you to Tung, who's come all the way from Australia just for this review today.
Yep, and if you guys want to check out a more in-depth, a longer format review of this car, you can head to the Cars Guide YouTube channel, link in the description below.
Stealing our subscribers. No, jokes aside, definitely check it out. They've got tons of reviews. We do too, so you can subscribe to both channels and then everyone's a winner. But of course, if you would like to search for brand new electric cars for sale in Ireland, you can hit the link up there. We've got over 1,000 trusted dealerships nationwide, so they can be sure to get you into a car safely, securely, and hopefully give you as much information as you need when you're maybe thinking of making the plunge into an electric car. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Tung.
Thank you.
And we'll see you in the next one.
Peace out.